The SSDs versus hard drives. Does anyone know what the difference between an SSD versus a hard drive is? All right, we've got one person. So I'll talk briefly about that. Basically, the way disks used to work in the old days is we had a spinning plate that's metal. I should have brought one with me as a prop. But it's a spinning plate that's metal, and it has all this magnetic data that's encoded on it. So if you picture my hand as a disk that spins at 7,000 RPM, very, very fast. And then there's this reader that goes back and forth over this spinning disk. So as this disk is spinning, it's reading all the magnetic data that's on here. So when you save your Word document on your computer, it is writing it encoded in magnetic format. The same way, and it's a similar technology that was used for audio tapes in the 70s and 80s, right? So it's a very, very old technology, and not much had really happened in the storage space for the first 20 years of technology. And so memory started getting a lot cheaper. And so now, instead of having this disk that spins at 7,000 RPM, they often would fail. The magnetic data wouldn't properly be readable. Because it's spinning at 7,000 RPM, especially for laptops, if you have any shock that's associated with your laptop while you're moving with your disk, they don't like that very much. So lots of technology was invented to make it so that when the disks were spinning, that they would shut off. Like they put in accelerometer sensors so that when you dropped your laptop, that this hard drive would automatically shut down and prevent the reader from crashing onto the hard drive. So if everyone heard my computer's crashed, that's kind of coming from a technical term of where the readers actually crashed down and landed on the disk that is reading the data. So anyway, so memory is getting cheaper. You can now buy the memory for your cameras and your like the SD cards that go in. They're all very, very cheap. It's getting much cheaper with now that everyone in the world is buying digital memory. It's getting cheaper. So similar technology has been put in solid state disks, which because there's now no moving parts, the reading and writing time is exponentially faster than this older technology of the spinning disks. The other problem with the spinning disks, if you think about it, is like, let's say you've got a really big file like a movie, or you've got a really big database that's on your computer, and you need to read all of that data that's on the database. If you have copied a chunk of your database out, worked on it, maybe added another spot, it's in a completely different area on the disk. So you might have originally started the database and it's on the center of the disk. Then you've added more data to your disk, which is now on the outside. So the problem with that is that in order to read your entire database, this head needs to go all the way back and forth over the entire hard disk, which is quite a bit of distance. So the speed in which you can read this huge file is dropped dramatically as it dances around the disk, which is why defragmentation was necessary. I don't know if you've seen defragmenters on your computers, but that's why defragmentation is necessary. And now that there's a memory that it can be read when you want to go access that large file, it can just pick it straight off of the disk, and there's no moving parts for that reader to dance around the disk. So you can get SSDs for well under $100, and it takes less than an hour, depending on how much data you have, to transfer that over to a new disk. So, especially for computers that are 2 or 3 years old, and you don't want to have to deal with copying all your data to a new OS, you don't want to deal with switching OSs, it's a great way to get a huge speed improvement off of a several $200 investment as opposed to over $1,000 investment for a new computer.